Good day or evening, dear participants. In this third lecture of Module 3, we are going to focus on the approaches to capacity development. Let us introduce this topic, as indicated under the 4 pillars of education, UNESCO 1996. Any education system that integrates these responds to the demands of Education 2030. This response seeks to achieve Sustainable Development Goals, SDG 4, and the ensuing quest for quality education for lifelong learning. Developing the capacity for educators to understand and implement the curriculum is one key outcome of the Education for Sustainable Development imperative. Capacity development for understanding and implementation of the curriculum itself can be viewed as a process or an outcome, which in teacher education is conducted through professional development initiatives. Therefore, this module focuses on capacity development. This notion cannot be divorced from the professional development contexts in which it takes place. This module focuses on approaches to capacity development for curriculum implementation and delves into the models for teacher professional development for understanding and implementing curriculum, particularly for achieving the ideals of Education 2030. Now, what do we expect from capacity development? To develop relevant capacity, it is important to define and decide on appropriate capacity development in the context of the desired social change. This view is crucial because the decisions on the aims and levels of the capacity building process need to be clarified. Take note that professional development is expected to enhance the knowledge, skills, and competencies of educators and enable them to improve their practice and performance. It is also expected to foster a culture of lifelong learning, reflection, and collaboration among educators, and support them to adapt to the changing needs and expectations of learners and society. Furthermore, it is expected to provide opportunities for educators to engage with current research, innovation, and best practices in their field, and to apply them to their own context and curriculum. Finally, it is expected to empower educators to become agents of change and to contribute to the improvement of the quality and relevance of education. Furthermore, the nature of capacity development is influenced by several factors, including the desired outcome, the participants of the capacity development process, the content to be covered, and the intended purpose for the capacity developed, the intended functions, and wherein the individual and organization that will be used, as well as the tacit factors such as individuals and institutional culture, leadership influence, and relationships between members of the organization. Capacity, therefore, depends on individuals who interact and how they interact in an institution. Take note that capacity in education refers to individuals' ability to achieve their educational objectives, grow professionally, and sustain their intended education, including curriculum implementation functions. Capacity development, therefore, refers to the processes and activities that individuals in institutions, organizations undergo to facilitate their ability to or enhance their ability to achieve their intended functions, and ultimately, those of the organizations in which they operate. Whittle in 2012 observed that capacity building entailed building or enhancing capacities for anticipating and influencing change, making informed, intelligent decisions about policy, developing programs to implement policy, attracting, absorbing resources, managing resources, and evaluating and guiding future actions. That means capacity for teachers and teacher educators involves all these aspects for them to effectively implement their teaching and learning roles. However, most capacity development processes focus on one or a few of these aspects at a time. Why do we consider professional development as a vehicle for capacity development? In fact, teacher professional development is a vehicle for capacity development in their ambition to understand and implement curriculum. Capacity development happens in professional development settings. Quinn, 2012, while with a special focus on academic contexts, notes that academic staff development as spaces of disruption. That means professional development disrupts the prevailing capacities to reconstitute them for better practice. Villegas Reimers in 2003 defines the professional development of teachers as a long-term process that includes regular opportunities and experiences planned systematically to promote growth and development in the profession. This view recognizes that the development of capacity is not a once-off process. Further, the development of the capacity of educators must be intentional, structured, and highly focused for them to derive maximum benefit. It is for this reason that Villegas-Reimer suggests key features of professional development. 1. It must be based on constructivism, which recognizes educators as active learners rather than receivers of information through transmission-oriented techniques. It must involve them in concrete tasks of teaching, assessment, observation, and reflection. 2. It should be perceived as a long-term process that acknowledges that educators learn over time. Professional development must be conducted over a long period of time, rather than once off, and must allow educators to use their prior knowledge and experience to attain new levels of knowledge and skills. Some form of support during this long process would provide the requisite catalyst for the development of the intended capacity. 3. Professional development is context-specific, hence, the capacity developed is specific and nuanced for the specific context. This calls for the need to avoid generic processes for capacity building. Further, this capacity building must be directed to practice, and the processes must be structured to support enhanced practice in context. Professional development of educators must be directed to direct and practical interactions of educators, the classroom environment, and their learners. 4. Even though professional development can contribute to the capacity of individual educators, the aim must be to facilitate and support meaningful learning interactions in a community of practice. Educational institutions should be transformed into communities of learners, communities of inquiry, professional learning communities, and caring communities. That means educators should not see themselves as isolated from the rest of the institution, but work and learn in the community and in collaboration with others. 5. Professional development for teachers should be linked to educational reform. That is, the capacity development for educators needs to be based on the curriculum. 6. Professional development must build the capacity of educators through building and enhancing reflective abilities. Each educator brings their knowledge and experiences, which are developed into better expertise through capacity enhancement. 7. Professional development can take any one or combinations of models to suit the specific context in which it is taking place, the nature of the participants whose capacity is to be developed, and the nature of the specific capacity that needs to be developed. Let us look at the professional development approaches to build the capacity of teachers to understand and implement the curriculum. In the modern settings, professional development of educators is conducted through many approaches, some of which are listed below. 1. Individual. In this approach, an individual undergoes professional development activities and seeks to enhance personal competences for their role in their practice. Subject-specific or role-specific capacity development processes is conducted. 2. Organizational institutional. This happens when the whole institution's employees are engaged in capacity development processes. 3. Peer-to-peer learning. This can be limited to interaction between individuals. In most cases, one of the individuals is a more knowledgeable other, and in mentorship and coaching relationships. 4. Training. This is where capacity is developed through engaging educators through a short period of systematic capacity development or short course. Courses are usually targeted for specific knowledge, skills, or roles of educators. 5. Academic study. This involves engaging educators in a formal systematic program of study, which is offered by an academic institution. Academic study usually leads to a qualification 6. Research educators can be engaged in research processes and through that engagement gain knowledge and skills for the research and for the researched concept. This can be as situations where educators are co-researchers or in citizen science activities. 7. Publishing. By contributing to publications, educators can learn skills of publishing and the notions that they publish deepen. Educators can read publications on the notions that affect their practice. In so doing, they gain knowledge and skills for their practice. 8. Grant making. This involves educators engaging in discussions to apply for sponsorship for activities in their practice. In most cases, grant applications are for areas of their practice that are lacking. In so doing, the educators get to understand their practice better. 9. Professional learning communities and communities of practice educators can learn from others through interaction in practice-focused communities. The key attributes of learning together in communities include these characteristics. Shared values and vision. 2. Collective responsibility for pupils' learning. 3. Collaboration focused on learning. 3. Individual and collective professional learning. 4. Reflective professional inquiry. 5. Openness, networks, and partnerships. 6. Inclusive membership. 7. Mutual trust, respect, and support through co-engaged learning where educators discuss issues pertaining to their practice and learn from each other. Communities can be constituted by members in the same subject in the same institution or the same subject across different institutions. Let us reflect. We discussed what is expected from capacity development and why we consider professional development as a vehicle for capacity development. In addition, we looked at the professional development approaches to build the capacity of teachers to understand and implement the curriculum. Now, what questions should we start asking ourselves? What comes to my immediate thinking is, 1. Can you reflect on your experiences of a professional development activity that you were involved in? While you are reflecting, what professional development features were evident and that influenced the capacity development processes? How were these applied in the professional development activity that you were discussing? 2. Describe the professional development approaches used to enhance the capacity of educators in your context. How have these approaches supported curriculum understanding and implementation in your context? 3. What are the professional development approaches in your opinion not suitable for your context? How can these approaches be modified to suit your context? Reflect in writing on these 3 questions using the Gibbs Reflective Cycle Guide, which will be shared with you in this module. Compile your reflection in the e-journal available within the e-learning platform in use in this self-paced online course. Share your reflections with your colleagues at work, and also share them on the Community of Practice platform, which will be shared with you. In conclusion, this lecture has introduced the concept of capacity development and its importance for curriculum implementation. It has also discussed the various approaches to professional development that can be used to build the capacity of educators to understand and implement the curriculum. The lecture has invited you to reflect on your own experiences and preferences of professional development and how they relate to your context and curriculum. We hope that this lecture has stimulated your thinking and inspired you to engage in further learning and collaboration with your peers. If you have any questions or challenges, please use the discussion forum of Module 4 under Lecture 3 to ask questions and answer other participants' questions as well. Thank you for your attention.